Hi, I would like to introduce myself and welcome everyone to class. My name is Veronica Manlow. I've been teaching at Brooklyn College for 5 years, and I'll just tell you a little bit about myself and my background, and then talk a little bit about the class. So first about me, I did my PhD, which means after doing, like you're going to do your bachelor's, many years of study later on, like a master's, and then after the master's, a couple of more years, and then you have the PhD. So most of your professors probably would have a PhD in their subject that they're teaching. My PhD is in sociology, which in the field of marketing, as you'll see, it's very interdisciplinary. Lots of different contributions from psychology, sociology, communications, business. We're going to be approaching it more from a business point of view, but again, always keep in mind it is a very multidisciplinary subject. And when you're doing a doctorate, for those of you who think you might like to go on to further studies, and it's not a bad idea, especially in this economy when you think about how hard it is to get jobs. So if you wanted to have an academic job, you would have to go on and do a PhD, something to think about. And in fact, when you do a PhD, in a field that you're interested in, generally you get paid to do it. You get a kind of fellowship or salary. So not something so bad to consider. And so I did my PhD in sociology, and my focus and how I got into marketing eventually was that I was looking at the fashion industry and looking at not exactly marketing, but looking at the creative process and how it works in the fashion industry in particular. So in doing that, I started to look at, how in a corporate environment, how does from the process of creation to, merchandising, getting things in the store, PR, marketing, all of that, how does the whole process kind of come together? So that was my focus, and that's how I started to teach marketing here at Brooklyn College. Before that, I was teaching at St. Joseph's, which is a school on Long Island, way out in Patchogue, and I was teaching in the sociology department. So for this class, we're going to be learning about marketing, and always the first thing I think in every class we have to ask is, what is philosophy, or what is, in this case, marketing? And it's, you'll have your definition in your textbook, and, you have to kind of think about what is it, how you can define it. And that's why I was starting out with that who am I assignment, because I think that it's in a sense personal. It relates to us in our everyday lives because I think, and I challenge you to think of any activity or to think of any segment of life that doesn't involve marketing. Okay, it's a challenge. If you can think of something, it would be interesting to think about. And I think even a lot of the things that we think are so personal and so individual, have a marketing component. So that's why, like in the Who Am I project, I think even something like religion, which in traditional society has nothing to do with commercial practices, right? But in the society that we live in today, where everything has been touched by marketing, you can think about how you're born in a hospital, or perhaps you're born now, there are birthing centers and other kinds of things. But all of those institutions or facilities are involved in marketing, are involved in, there's an exchange that's happening. It's not something that's traditional, that's within the control or within the domain of the community solely. So that's the difference. That today everything has, you have a birthday party, and it has to be in a restaurant, a catering hall. It has to be something that, even if it is in the home, right, there are going to be gifts connected. People feel they have to buy things. So before, perhaps it was a matter of making things, or somebody, baking a cake and people getting together and maybe exchanging things that they were in an agricultural society. Somebody's making wine, somebody's making, growing vegetables, and so people were trading, were exchanging, were living a kind of in a kind of self-determined manner. But today we're so dependent on the marketplace. So if somebody gets engaged, if somebody gets married, these are huge commercial activities, as well as they are private and personal. So that's why I'm saying I kind of challenge you to find something that doesn't have, even we think of Valentine's Day, love, romance, but it has a money component, doesn't it, attached, where people have to go to a nice restaurant, have to receive flowers. So we're not in the kind of society where, you make a greeting card or you make a kind of thing and you give it to someone. Where traditional societies were centered around those kind of interpersonal exchange relationships, give and take. But today, it's about buying, it's about prestige. And that's why when we talk about luxury brands, we're looking at the ultimate, form of marketing. So you're buying a brand that has a connotation, that has a certain kind of lifestyle attached to it. So we've gotten to this point where we could say most of us are to some extent very materialistic, at least much more so than in societies in the past. So we're going to look at that whole process, and that's why we're starting with the Who Am I project. And then we're going to do group projects, we're going to do individual projects. So let me stop now. Next segment is going to be focused totally on the class. This is more of an introduction of who am I and what is the class going to be about. But I'll continue later with more details.